Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Monday, the 10th of October. I'm Derek Clark, back from my holidays, and I'm joined this morning by Joshua Barrie. How's it going, Joshua?
It's going good. Fill us in, Derek. Where were you? How was it?
I was in it.
How expensive was it, etc.?
Yeah, I was in Helsinki. I wish I was there in August, I've got to tell you, for Rangers in the Super Cup, but hey-ho. But yeah, I went to Helsinki. Cracking place, folks. If you've not been there, I'd very much recommend you pay it a visit. Yeah, it's brilliant. Not if you're looking to get a suntan, then it's not the place for you, but it's ideal for me. Joshua, I know that you like to top up your tan, so maybe not the best destination for yourself. But yeah, absolutely cracking place, folks. Feeling refreshed. Took in a HJK Helsinki game while I was over there as well, which was good. And yeah, good to get back and talk all things Rangers. I watched the Liverpool game in a pub in Helsinki. Joshua, you were at Anfield for us. We'll talk about the game at Ibrox shortly. For me, I was screaming at the TV because I just felt that Rangers, I know that was the general consensus, that they never really laid a glove on Liverpool on the night, and it could have been far more than 2-0. But I think Ibrox could be a tad different. You'll be looking forward to heading along there for us on Wednesday.
Yeah, just been catching up on the game myself. Watched bits of it yesterday. Looked like Liverpool kind of turned the corner against Rangers last week. They changed formation. I think it was a very one-sided game without them really taking all their chances. But you know, I have to caveat it with the fact that Arsenal are top of the Premier League at the moment. But I think this is Liverpool's worst Premier League start, and I can't remember the stat, a number of years. Obviously, they lost Alexander-Arnold and Diaz to injury. And yeah, if there's a bit of belief going into the game, then you're right. You look at the Napoli game, Napoli, who obviously went and put six away against Ajax. For that first hour, a very competitive game. Rangers can't, I don't think, get through to the Champions League last 16 now. But what they can do is get into the Europa League, and if they get a point in one of these next two games, I think the most important thing, Derek, is that this Champions League campaign doesn't just peter out. It's not just 6 defeats and they didn't give anything. If they get something against Liverpool or Napoli, even if it just be a point, a performance to kind of do justice to what they've done in the Europa League over a number of years, then it sets up what could be a really memorable night against Ajax. And after so many memorable nights in the past, you'd like to have another one quite soon, as opposed to just what it's been like so far. So yeah, very much looking forward to it in a couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I go along with what Brian Kay has pointed out with regards to that Anfield game. He says, I think we gave Liverpool too much respect. Need to get in their faces. Totally agree, Brian, but we'll touch on Liverpool shortly. Before we do that, just a reminder, you can see a little ticker below, folks. We've got that offer on the website. Loads of you taking advantage of it. Just £1 for 2 months worth of content. It's an absolutely cracking deal. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details on that one. Okay, Joshua, you were at Ibrox for us on Saturday. Another routine 4-0 win. That's the fourth this season, isn't it? Which is quite something. Give me that every day of the week, please. Rangers were impressive. Enjoyed watching them. Antonio Cholak, I mean,
silly. Silly.
Yeah, it is silly. I'm lost for words at just how good that guy is in the penalty box. Another 2 goals for him at the weekend. But Fashion Sakala stole all the headlines, Joshua. Another great showing. He did well when that cameo he had at Anfield. Theo van Bronckhorst opted to go for him and Rabbi Matondo at the weekend, which was good to see. And Sakala was impressive, especially that second half. The goal, Cholak's second goal, Rangers' third, the movement and the burst of pace from him was really exceptional. And it was great to see him get a goal late on as well. Really well taken finish. Also, really banging on the door, you'd have to say, for a start on Wednesday.
Yeah, he is. We'll start with Cholak. He's now scored 10 goals in the league from an expected goals tally of something like, I've not got it in front of me, 4.6. So scoring it over double his expectation, which means that on one hand, there's an argument that probably that won't continue at the same consistency. 10 goals in 9 league starts is, if he kept that up for the whole season, he'd be over 40 goals. So that's probably just stating the obvious that it's unlikely that you'll always be able to score at that rate. But at the moment, it's almost an inevitability. Did I say that right?
Yeah. Tell you what, Erling Haaland wears Antonio Cholak pajamas. I think that is
you said it. You said it.
Word in the street.
But you know, and it's so, when Rangers haven't played brilliantly this season, they've had someone who they know is going to score half chances. A game like Kilmarnock, which was the 2-0 game, that was a terrible game. That was a really bad game. There was no pace. There was nothing in it. It was poor. Cholak gets a couple of goals. I think he got 2 in that day, or maybe 1, and then Morelos got the late one, didn't he? Now Rangers look like they're starting to click into gear a wee bit. We'll come on to Sakala, but I think they've been really helped in the last week by playing 2 wingers, stretching teams on either side, injecting pace into the attack, which, as we know from before the international break, can look a bit laborious if it's just passing without much kind of intention, or players in the middle without a Tillman and Lawrence who can take the ball in and do something themselves. Cholak's first goal is just an example of, as easy as it sounds, it's someone who just loves scoring goals, doesn't it? It's not an easy thing at all. You look at Haaland and you look at the positions he picks up and you think, why don't more forwards just do that? But it's obviously such a skill to be in the right place at the right time. And Cholak doing little things like finishing it in. You see how positive he is. And Barisic was speaking about this at the press conference on Friday. He was saying, Cholak's already told me, let's go tomorrow. He just believes that he's going to go and score these goals. Rangers haven't had someone like that in a while, Derek. So it gives performances another element, because now you know it might only be a half chance you need to score. Look, the Dundee United game before the international break, that shot he takes from outside the box. How many games was there under Gerrard in his second season in particular, where, or even last season at points? Remember that game at home against Hearts where Morelos had genuinely about 12 shots and the Rangers just couldn't score, and it was 1-1 at the end of the game. They now have a forward who I think can just exploit any gap he gets in the Scottish Premiership. Moving on to Sakala, the best right wing performance Rangers have had in a while for me. Obviously that role's been played slightly differently. I think there's some, when Tillman or a Lawrence is played out there, they are meant to play a different role, but allowed Tavernier to come inside. We've got an analysis piece which is in the description if you want to go and read that and what it did. Sakala had carried the ball 41 times, Derek, and he was successful with 38 of those, which is 92%, which is crazy take-on numbers. And I think in terms of take-ons, it was 11 out of 13. So just so dominant in his 1v1 duels. He was slower in the first half, getting up to speed, much more aggressive and potent with the ball at his feet in the second half. And again, the third goal is a brilliant example. Look at where he receives the ball by the touchline. If that's an Arfield or a Tillman or a Lawrence, they don't have the ability to take out 2 players and outplay and then change the structure of the defence altogether. And what I think when you play players like a Sakala or a Matondo or a Kent, who can go by a man, if you're a defender, it's the last thing you want. You're happy if you've got players maybe passing the ball around you, because you don't have to commit or come out your shape, or you can stay a bit more compact. But Sakala doesn't give you that option, and he's waited a long time for his chance. And he took it, and there was some nice comments about him, speaking about James Tavernier in the press conference after, saying how much of a support he's been to him while he's not played any football really in 4 or 5 months, going back to the end of last season, and saying how Tavernier's consistently outside of training, been checking in on him. And then yesterday, when the news came, or the day before the game when the news came through that he was going to play, had a conversation with him about, I guess, kind of summarising the qualities he thought Sakala had. Just a wee nice detail. You don't always see these things, but you could tell. I think it's an example of a captain kind of looking after his players off the pitch. And then when Sakala was given his chance, although it took him a bit of time to get up to speed, I thought he did brilliantly, Derek.
Yeah, absolutely. Good friend of the show, Ross, gets in touch. He says he was chatting to his friend walking to the game about Sakala's dribbling success. It's a resource we can use more often. Happy to see the article confirming my thoughts. Great article again, guys. Thanks for your kind words, Ross. Yeah, go and check it out, folks. Great piece from Joshua on Sakala yesterday. Lots of comments coming in as well about Cholak or Golak, as he's been now referred to, Joshua. They both start on Wednesday, surely, yeah?
So it's Sakala and Cholak.
Yeah. Morelos come back in?
Well, the difficulty you have on the back of this, Derek, is, and this is kind of it's one of these good problems to have. Alfredo Morelos has not, as far as we know, signed the contract for next season, right? You want to keep him at the club regardless, whether that be to sell him on or to keep him there. You're not going to keep him if you don't play him. Do you know what I mean? If Morelos sits on the bench, Rangers have how many league games over the next month? 6, 7, whatever, before the World Cup.
Yeah.
You've got to play Morelos as well. If he just sits on the bench, what good does that do? And I understand the argument about Čolak. I think probably part of me thinks you do have to. Part of me thinks if you look back to what Van Bronckhorst said before the away tie, he kind of said, look, you have certain players for certain games and he'll want to play Morelos, as he did at home against Napoli. But I think domestically there is going to have to be some sort of resolution in games like the weekend where you find a way to play them together at points, because do you know what I mean? It's hard to keep Morelos on the bench for all that time if you're trying to convince him that in the peak of his career, Ibrox is where he should be for his to get the best out of him in a footballing sense. Is that too negative?
At this point in time, I don't think Giovanni Van Bronckhorst will be thinking about that. I think he'll be thinking about the best player up top for Rangers on Wednesday. On current form, he's an absolute goal machine at the moment, Čolak. The fact he doesn't need many touches to have a strike on goal, and more often than not, it finds the back of the net. I think I understand why Morelos played at Anfield, and I thought he did well up there, leading the line. But I just think at Ibrox, I just fancy Čolak to get the nod.
I know what you mean.
It'll be an interesting one. I know he was asked about whether Morelos and Čolak can play together, and it's not something that he ruled out, but I don't see that happening on Wednesday, that's for sure. Lots of comments coming in with regards to Ridvan Yilmaz as well, Josh, I wanted to touch on.
Don't tell me it's left-wing comments, Derek. Don't tell me it's left-wing.
Well, Aldo says it's Yilmaz on the left wing for us. Well, Kent is playing so poor. I wanted to touch on Yilmaz as well. Before we discuss him, I mean, he came on at the weekend. Great to see him. I thought he did well in the brief time that he had on the pitch. But Galatasaray have been linked with a loan move for him in come January. This is coming from Turkish outlet Takvim, and they've said that they may consider a loan approach in the coming months. Also suggests that Yilmaz has no intention of leaving Rangers, but adds that a lack of game time could lead to a loan switch. Is this something you could see happening?
I don't think it can. Rangers have spent a lot of money on him. The Van Bronckhorst has admitted in recent weeks that it's taken him a bit of time to adapt and adjust. So I don't think they want to send him back to Turkey to have to come back and adapt and adjust again. Yeah. There's a piece that's going to be on our site later this week from a friend of the show, Football Stuart, on Twitter, looking at Yilmaz. You're right, it was a cameo, but Yilmaz played that role differently to Barisic. First and foremost, it's the same as Tavernier. He's a left back, and the reason he's an offensive left back is because the positions he can pick up as an offensive left back, and he's played left wing back before, but I don't think he's the answer at left wing. I know Kent's been poor, but you've also got Matondo there. You're not going to bench both of those players to play your left back ahead of Barisic. That's just not going to happen, I don't think. Pull me up on it if I'm wrong, but the way he plays that role is different to Barisic. Barisic. And again, we put this out at the weekend. I think it was on my Twitter. If you look at the pass network, Čolak's much more likely to go over to the right-hand side. It can leave the left when it's not got a Tillman or a Lawrence or someone with their back to goal. It can leave it a little bit, I think, more difficult than the right-hand side. We've always got Čolak coming over as an example for the goal. The third goal, you've also got Jack and Tavernier over there, whereas on the left, you really only had Arfield, Matondo and Barisic. Barisic can't come inside the pitch and almost play like a midfielder, as I think that Yilmaz will be able to. And I think that it will suit Rangers eventually, again, when he is up to speed, when he has had a few games. And I don't know when that will be, but it was good to see some encouraging signs of him playing, because we've not seen much of him at all. And we know that, he played, 60 games for Besiktas, already a Turkish international. He's obviously got quality. It'll be a case of, adaptation, all these boring things. I don't think he's the answer at left wing. I think he's going to be Rangers left back. I think it's just a case of when he's ready to kind of make that move and become the left back full time. You've seen Tavernier as well on the right hand side. We covered this in the Sakala piece. Much more involved centrally. Had 3 shots on the edge of the box. Something he did last year actually against St Mirren in the 2-0 win again at December. Because he's not restricted to being the widest player on the right, it allows him to kind of come inside and impact the game centrally a bit more. And I quite like that, because it's happening a lot around world football, but also logic tells you, look at Tavernier's numbers, the assist numbers, the creative numbers he gets when he's playing widest on the right. Logic tells you if he's able to do that closer to goal, that shouldn't restrict him. And we know how good a shot he has on him, how creative he can be. You've seen those 3 or 4 passes through the lines to a Cholak or a Sakala and on the right side that he played down the right-hand side. He's obviously a very creative player, so I quite like that balance as well, especially domestically when you need to stretch the opposition, be able to hurt them on either side. And I thought that hasn't happened enough under Van Bronckhorst this year, this season in the Premiership. It happened quite a lot last season. And I think for that reason, even when Rangers had a little bit of a lull at 2-0, they were able, Sakala and his impact on the right was able to, turn the game again in their favour. And as you say, end up 4-0.
Yeah. Good morning to David Kerr, who gets in touch. This sounds horrendous. He says, apologies for being late, but the herniated disc is just awful regarding the pain I'm in.
There's been a lot of slip discs in the comments in the last year, Derek.
Hopefully you're on the mend soon, David. That doesn't sound too good, but we wish you all the best and getting back fit again. But good to have your company as ever. Another couple of comments coming in I wanted to touch on, Josh. I like this one from Alan Wright. He says the defence looks more solid with Ben Davies there. Got to say I totally agree. I think it's great to see him actually playing games now. I know he was taken off. I think it's all about building up his fitness, you'd have to think. And he's got to start on Wednesday, barring any sort of knock or whatever in training. But it just gives Rangers so much balance there, doesn't it? Having that left-footed centre-back in that position. And great to see him alongside Goldson. And Goldson as well, you could say his performances have improved slightly with having that defender there that is left-footed that can cover that area so naturally.
I think that was maybe Goldson's best performance of the season. And I know he didn't have to, that might be a bit surprising because it's St Mirren at home, but because St Mirren are playing a front two, obviously constantly they're man versus man at the back, which is a bit of a risky ploy, I guess, because if you lose one battle, then your opponent could be thrown goal. But I thought Goldson was so aggressive coming into midfield, and as you say, I think he looked better next to Davies. Davies, a word first for Leon King. He played that switch of play for the third goal, and he did that as well against Ross County for the third goal. Where he's on the left-hand side and he picks out the right. I think he's done brilliantly since coming in. It's easy to forget that he's only played a handful of minutes last season. He's still 18. And there's almost no acknowledgement of the fact that he is that age. But again, that's a compliment of his ability. It's a compliment of the fact that when he comes on, he doesn't look nervy. He doesn't take a few touches to get into the game. And he's quick. As we keep saying, he's deceivingly quick. At the back, but Davies, no, I agree with you. I thought he looked pretty classy on the ball. I think the balance looks good there. You can see the start, I think, of a good long-term partnership, which was always a plan when Davies was brought in for that much money. I think at the start of the season, James Sands had some really good games. PSV away, for example, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. I agree as well at times that you could see that maybe I think he can still play centre half, but he's maybe not a dyed-in-the-wool centre half like a Davies is. Be interesting to see what happens with him in a European game if he'll maybe move forward a little bit into midfield. But I think those two as a back two pairing, that's what you want. And Davies as well on a couple of occasions showed some good recovery pace. So hopefully he starts to get settled back for, and certainly a settled centre back partnership. I imagine that Davies has just been coming off kind of before the end of games because, as I say, he's still not played that much football and has come back from injury. And it gives Leon King more minutes and has shown he had a good impact playing that second. It was a pass to Tavernier who played it into Sakala, who played it into Cholak for the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this comment that's come in from James Strachan. This is what it's all about. He says, my Labrador called Teddy Bear passed his therapy dog training. He came with me to work today and did wonderfully with the kids with special needs. So proud of him. Absolutely terrific. Well done, Teddy Bear. And really delighted for you, James. That's great news. Great to hear. Love that sort of stuff, Joshua. We both have dogs, but the therapy dog stuff is absolutely first class. So great to hear that on a Monday morning. And what a name also.
It made me think, Derek, your dog's name is not Rangers related, which is a bit of a surprise.
He was a rescue and he was already called
Okay.
Simba, so I'm not one to change his name. He was already called Simba.
Fair
But
enough. That would be extreme. That would be extreme.
Yeah, but what's your dog's name again?
Buddy. No
Buddy.
Rangers relation.
That's a good dog name. That's a solid dog name.
He's a good boy. Not seen him in a while because he's at my parent. He's not my dog. He's my parents' dog, but he is my dog, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, lots of comments coming in. Randy Marr says, Teddy Bear, the legend. Yeah, absolutely. And good on you, Teddy Bear. That is absolutely fantastic to hear. Right, let's get back to Rangers news, folks. What some other news that came out yesterday, Joshua, that is very good to hear is that Adam Devine has agreed a contract extension. It keeps him at the club until 2025, 19 years of age, highly rated, of course. He's now a Scotland under-21 international. Ross Wilson said, we've developed our academy development programme considerably in recent seasons with a clear focus on clear individual plans. Adam has been making excellent progress against his plan, which is naturally pleasing for Gio and all of our coaching and support staff. I am sure that Adam's hard work and progress will continue. Big things are expected of this lad. We've seen bits of him at times coming on for James Tavernier. Of course, we've seen him last season at the tail end of the season as well. Looks very impressive, good going forward, and it's great to see Rangers tying these young boys up long term.
Yeah, I think what stood out with Devine watching him last year, Derek, was Lowry's goal at Hearts in particular springs to mind. He has the physicality and the kind of athleticism to step up to men's football really easily, similar to Cole McKinnon, who's obviously at Partick Thistle at the moment. I thought he did well in the game against Queen of the South. I think he always something that strikes me well with Devine, which is quite a simple thing, but for a right back, what I think he did really well in that Queen of the South game is just timed his runs well, and he's really quick. So when he sets off at the right time, that you see Kyle Walker does it all the time for Man City. He'll be stationary, and then all of a sudden he's away and he's around you, and he's a free passing option in the final third because he's just too quick for his opposition marker to catch up with him. Devine's got maybe not the same burst of pace as Kyle Walker, but he's quick, and that the pathway's been cleared from there to be the kind of understudy to James Tavernier. So yeah, good to see that happen. I think that was always going to happen when Zakowski went out to Poland at the end of the last window, and you can imagine that he'd maybe get some more minutes in the Cups going forward.
Yeah. So, great news. Adam Devine signing a longer-term deal with Rangers yesterday. Okay, folks, I think that'll do us here. Just a reminder of what we've got on the website this morning. There's a great piece that Joshua did on Fashion Sakala and how he offers Rangers that right-wing solution. And there's also a piece on the website that came out this morning from scouting writer Patrick Caskey on the Finnish free agent capable of rejuvenating the Ibrox midfield. So I do urge you to go and check it out. His scouting pieces are always a good read. So go and have a little look at it in your own time. We'll be back again tomorrow as we begin the build-up to the big one on Wednesday. The press conference is taking place at Ibrox tomorrow as well. Both, I think, Joshua, is that right? Rangers and Liverpool?
Later in the day. I think it's late afternoon. So at some point, but you'll hear from me at some point. I'll be over there at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Cannot wait for Wednesday night. I really hope Rangers turn up and give Liverpool a right good game. I think that they're very much capable of it. Okay, that'll do us there. We'll be back again tomorrow as ever. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Monday.